Meet Medusa, the original bad hair day, and trust me, her story is just as twisted as her serpentine locks. 1. Medusa, the queen of the stone-cold stare. Before Medusa became the nightmare of ancient Greece, she was part of a family with some seriously unique genes. Medusa wasn't just any monster, she belonged to a trio known as the Gorgons, each one more terrifying than the last. But here's the twist, Medusa was the only one who could, well, die. Yep, out of the three, she drew the short straw. Let's meet the family, shall we? First there was Stheno, the strong sister. Imagine the friend who's always ready to throw a punch and you've got Stheno. Then there's Uriel, known for her loud, almost operatic cries. If karaoke competitions existed in ancient Greece, she'd sweep every one of them. And finally, Medusa, the youngest and oddly enough, the most human. While Stheno and Uriel were born immortal with terrifying features, Medusa started life as a stunning mortal woman. You know, the kind of beauty that stops people in their tracks, or later, turns them into stone. So why was Medusa the odd one out? Well, according to myth, she was mortal because she wasn't born a Gorgon. Unlike her monstrous sisters, she started life as a mortal priestess of Athena. Her parents, Phorcys and Ceto, were primordial sea deities, meaning Medusa was basically born into the elite family of ancient Greek monsters. Still, her humanity made her stand apart from her fearsome siblings, setting her up for a life and death that would make her far more famous than the other two combined. It's like Medusa's family reunion would have been a bit awkward. Her sisters probably mocked her for being the only one who needed sunscreen or could get a wrinkle. And let's not even start on how she was the one who could actually die. Thanks, Greek mythology, for sibling dynamics that would make therapy a necessity. But Medusa's story didn't stay in the shadow of her immortal sisters for long. Her beauty would soon make her famous, and not in the way she hoped. Let's find out how a mortal with stunning looks became one of mythology's most feared figures. Before she became the poster child for bad hair days, Medusa was the talk of ancient Greece, but for all the right reasons. She was a priestess of Athena, admired for her unmatched beauty. But as Greek mythology often teaches us, being too beautiful can be hazardous to your health. Here's how it went down. Medusa caught the eye of Poseidon, god of the sea, and a serial flirt. One day, in what can only be described as the ultimate boundary violation, Poseidon pursued Medusa into Athena's temple. What happened next depends on the version you hear, but either way, Athena was not happy. The temple was desecrated, and Medusa, despite being the victim, got the blame. Because apparently, Greek gods loved a good overreaction. Athena, in a fit of divine rage, cursed Medusa. Her once flowing locks became a writhing mass of venomous snakes. Her mesmerizing gaze, now capable of turning anyone into a stone lawn ornament. Overnight, Medusa went from admired to feared, all because she happened to catch the wrong god's attention. It's like the ultimate bad makeover. You know how you get mad at your stylist for cutting your bangs too short? Well, imagine leaving the salon with snakes for hair and a permanent look but don't look policy. And the cherry on top? Everyone blames you for the mess. Medusa's new look was enough to clear out any party. But it also came with a horrifying power that turned her curse into something far more complicated. Let's talk about what made her stare so deadly, and how it became her greatest weapon. Medusa's petrifying gaze was the ultimate defense mechanism, turning anyone who dared to look directly into her eyes into solid stone. Talk about putting the hard in hardcore. This wasn't just a cool party trick. It was a terrifying, magical ability. Legend has it that Medusa's eyes reflected not just her cursed state, but also Athena's divine punishment. One glance, and your adventuring days were over. Heroes, soldiers, and the occasional clueless bystander learned this the hard way. But here's the twist. Her power was both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, nobody could mess with her without turning into a garden sculpture. On the other hand, it made simple things like meeting new people, let's say, challenging. Forget dinner dates, one wrong look, and the waiter's a marble statue holding a menu. Can you imagine the awkward scenarios? Like, what if the neighborhood delivery guy got curious? Oh, just a quick peek. What's the worst that could? Oops, there goes your pizza. Or the poor snake charmer who thought he'd found a soulmate, only to realize it was the last thing he'd ever see. But as powerful as her gaze was, It couldn't protect Medusa from a certain hero who brought both courage and a reflective surface to the party. Enter Perseus, the man with a mission to end her story in a way she definitely didn't see coming. Now let's talk about Perseus, the hero who managed to pull off the impossible. Armed with divine gadgets and a lot of nerve, he set out to slay Medusa. Not exactly a fair fight when you think about it. Perseus, tasked with bringing back Medusa's head, got a major assist from the gods. Athena lent him a polished shield to use as a mirror, and Hermes threw in a sickle-shaped sword. He also scored some winged sandals, because walking to a Gorgon's lair would have taken forever. Fully equipped, Perseus headed to Medusa's hideout, deep within a cave surrounded by her unfortunate victims. Using Athena's shield as a reflective guide, Perseus approached Medusa without ever looking directly at her. One swift swing and Medusa's head was severed. But here's the real deal. Her power didn't end with her death. Even as he carried her head in a sack, it retained its ability to turn people to stone. Imagine Perseus navigating the return trip. Okay, don't open the bag, don't look at the bag, and definitely don't let anyone ask what's in the bag. TSA in ancient Greece would have had a field day with that one. But while Perseus walked away a hero, Medusa's story didn't end there. Her legacy lived on, literally, as her head became one of the most infamous trophies in mythology. Let's explore how Medusa's power continued to shape legends long after her final breath. Medusa's death wasn't the end of her story. In fact, it was only the beginning of her legacy. Perseus didn't just toss her head into the nearest trash heap. Instead, he gifted it to Athena, who mounted it on her shield, the Aegis. Imagine being a warrior facing Athena in battle and seeing that staring back at you. Talk about an intimidation tactic. Even in death, Medusa's influence lingered. Her blood was said to have magical properties. Drops spilled on the ground created venomous serpents, while others were rumored to hold healing powers. Leave it to Greek mythology to make even blood multitask. Medusa's image has endured through centuries, becoming a symbol of power, mystery, and let's be honest, an aesthetic icon. From ancient art to high fashion, her story continues to captivate. She's been reimagined in films, books, and even as a feminist figure. Proof that some legends never fade. Medusa may have started as a cursed mortal, but she ended as something far greater. A symbol of resilience, misunderstood power, and the kind of bad hair day none of us can top. But let's switch gears and have a little fun with our favorite snake-haired legend. Medusa's story might be ancient, but her legacy is anything but dusty. In fact, she's managed to slither her way into modern culture as a misunderstood icon, a tragic anti-hero, and dare we say, a bit of a pop culture queen. Over the years, Medusa has been embraced as a feminist icon, and it's easy to see why. Think about it. A powerful woman wronged by the gods, cursed for something beyond her control, and feared by a world that didn't understand her. Sound familiar? Many modern interpretations portray her as a victim who turned her pain into power, making her a symbol of resilience and rebellion. And let's face it, she's the ultimate don't mess with me poster girl. Snakes for hair? Check. A glare that literally shuts people up? Double check. Medusa's the mythological equivalent of someone who doesn't just block you on social media. They turn you into stone. While Greek mythology painted her as a monster, modern storytellers have added layers to her character. Some see her as a tragic anti-hero, a woman who never asked for the life she was given, but found a way to survive it. Movies, books, and even video games have explored this side of Medusa, turning her from a one-dimensional villain into a deeply complex character. Honestly, who can blame her for being a little cranky? Imagine waking up every day with snakes on your head. Not exactly a spa day. Now, here's where things get fun. Medusa has made her mark in everything from high fashion to Hollywood blockbusters. Remember Clash of the Titans? She was the standout villain, complete with her creepy snake lair vibe. And in Percy Jackson, she runs a garden gnome emporium. Talk about finding a niche market. Gamers love her too. In popular titles like God of War and Smite, Medusa is a formidable foe, and sometimes even a playable character. And let's not forget her influence in art. Fashion designers have used her image as a statement of boldness and rebellion. Ever seen Versace's logo? Yep, that's Medusa staring back at you in all her glory. In some versions of her story, Medusa's petrifying powers didn't work on women. So maybe she was the original feminist ally, saving her rage for the guys who messed up. Also, her name means guardian or protectress, which is kind of ironic considering most people were running away from her. Legend has it that her snake hair could hiss in harmony, so maybe she had her own built-in soundtrack. Medusa might have started as a cautionary tale, but she's become so much more. A misunderstood legend, a symbol of defiance, and a figure who refuses to be forgotten. She's proof that even in mythology there's always more to the story.